65. A shower early Friday morning, then partly sunny with a high 66. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
58 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This is what Liz Cheney had to say about Trump at that little confab that she had with Kamala the other day, in which Maria Shriver was everybody's brain. Nobody could ask a question.
No, she had it for them. Did Maria Shriver and Kamala Harris talk about nannies? Oh, too soon? Sorry. Or was it the cleaning lady with Arnold Schwarzenegger? I can't remember.
The housekeeper, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At least he had the baby, though.
Oh, boy. All right. So anyway, this is what Liz Cheney had to say about Trump at that little gathering.
I will just end this by saying, and I also know, because I have spent time with Vice President Harris, because I have come to understand what she believes about how she will govern, that she will be a president for all Americans, that she's committed to listening and committed to having viewpoints, some of which, come from different ends of the political spectrum. And if you think about how you conduct, your life outside of politics, how we all conduct our everyday lives, those are the kinds of people that you trust. Those are the kinds of people you can work with. Like if you wouldn't hire somebody to babysit your kids, you shouldn't make that guy the president of the United States. I
mean, that's pretty basic. That's a real zinger there, Liz. Other than reminding ourselves that Trump has a shoe full of kids, and they seem to have all turned out pretty well, haven't they?
Yeah, sure have.
Yeah. For more on this, somebody who's had probably as much interaction with Trump as Liz Cheney, certainly recently, Alice Marie Johnson. You remember her story. She was a single mom who got involved in a drug operation, was convicted of a drug-related offense, spent 20 years in prison, and then Kim Kardashian got wind of her case. 20 years seemed a bit excessive given her crime, and essentially petitioned Trump to consider a commutation and pardon of Alice Marie Johnson, which he ultimately did, commuting her sentence first and then pardoning her. Yeah, she has now become a criminal justice reform advocate. She wrote a book called Afterlife, My Journey from Incarceration to Freedom, and she wants to weigh in on this race as well. Alice Marie Johnson, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Dan and Amy, for having me on this morning. I've got to use my voice everywhere I possibly can to try to wake Americans up to what they are about to do if they cast their vote the wrong way.
Well, what did you think about Kamala and Liz's confab there the other day and comments?
I think Liz Cheney's comment was absolutely ridiculous. Let's pull out Kamala's resume. I believe that what you do is who you are, and she has done absolutely nothing. And now they're trying to sell us snake oil to say that she's going to have a new way forward. And by her own words, she said that she would not have done anything differently from Joe Biden. Now you're trying to tell us you would have, that you got something new you're going to present. But we have yet to see that new thing. She's selling us really a bunch of dreams and trying to keep all of us very joyful as this country, I don't want to say the direction it's going in, because I have faith in God that he's not going to allow this to happen. It's going to stop on November 5th.
Now, Ms. Johnson, for those of us who don't know, well, I know your story, but those listening might not know your story of why you were imprisoned for 20 years for a mistake that you made.
Yes, as you said, I was a single mother of 5, really badly struggling. I had recently lost my job at FedEx as a manager, that I'd been there for 10 years, and computer ops, customer support, and really my life was spinning out of control. Bills were coming in that I absolutely couldn't pay. Now, I really want you to know, Amy, I'm not making any excuses for what I did. That's what I want the audience to know. But what I did not warrant what I was sentenced to. I was what is called a telephone mule. An offer came to me, my lights. It literally put food on my table and kept my lights off. I got $1,000 that first time. And my number had been given by someone who I was seeing after my divorce. And they called me, and I passed phone number to him. I've never sold drugs or made drug deals. I was what they called his telephone mule, even though that was ridiculous. But I was actually convicted of attempted possession, and a much smaller amount that I was convicted of attempted possession was allowed by the prosecutor to say, I estimate that it's this ridiculous number with no proof, not even drugs that they have in my case. So I went to sentencing, and that's when I found out that I was going to be sentenced to life plus 25 years in prison. And in federal prison, there is no parole. So I was only supposed to come home and rejoin my family as a corpse. It's called an unexecuted sentence of death, because the only way I was coming home was if I died. So really by the grace of God, Kim Kardashian heard of my story, a video op-ed that I did that went viral. She tweeted out, "This is so unfair." She brought her attorney in to help me, and they put together a new team of attorneys. Kim contacted Ivanka Trump, who showed my case to her husband, Jerry Kushner. 7 months of working, trying to get an audience and get me free. They met with President Trump. He saw my case, and really this is what I believe was the first time anyone actually turned the page in my case without just looking at what the charge was and not really looking to see. So they really vetted me very carefully to see, and he couldn't believe it. And 7 days after they met with him, I was set free, running across that road, and I've been running ever since, trying to help as many people as I can and get the messaging out about, concerning criminal justice reform, that we cannot leave these people in who are serving these draconian sentences. And as I've said, many of them under the 94 crime bill that President Biden was the author of.
The criminal justice reform, there's a lot under that umbrella. Some of it I think is good. Some of it not so much. I mean, in Illinois, for example, we eliminated cash bail, and we call that criminal justice reform. But I wouldn't call that a positive policy under criminal justice reform. It's not really reform. It's just encouraging lawlessness, in my view. But some of the things I've seen you write about, I've read that you have written, I think do make some sense, too. And one of the aspects of this is really an underdiscussed is when you initially had your sentence commuted, you weren't completely pardoned, and you were unable to go to the State of the Union address because of the conditions of your release. And so just talk about that aspect, if you will, of criminal justice reform as one example of something where I think if people understood what was happening, there would be a lot of support for reform.
Oh, yes. There are so many collateral consequences of being convicted of a felony. I couldn't go to the White House without having to try to get my probation officer to approve it. Now, I'm being asked to come by the President of the United States, who's over all of this, but I could not get a person who's convicted of a felony. You can't get housing because the felony, you have that felony record. Many places won't hire you. Some have banned the box, and President Trump did something incredible in 2019. He signed a bill taking away that box for people who are applying for federal jobs. You can be a convicted felon and still go in for an interview and get a job there. So he saw the injustice of that. They're really college grants when you want people to to come out and really get their life back on track, there's a lot of obstacles in the way of a person who has a felony. And by the way, I just have to say this because I think that people thought that was a real big thing that President Biden did when he granted those pardons to misdemeanor marijuana users, and they said, oh, this large number of pardons. That was just, I'm just going to say that was really, I say, something for show, because they don't have the same consequences as someone who has been convicted of a felony. A misdemeanor does not take away any of your rights. You don't even have to put on a job application that I've been convicted of a misdemeanor. So really, I've been really fighting to give voice to these issues, to help those who are struggling, to give them a real second chance. And, one thing that we didn't expect to happen, because when Joe Biden was running for office, he said that he was so sorrowful for the crime bill, and then he turns around and does nothing about it. Still, people are serving very long sentences because of that crime bill. President Trump actually gave clemencies, and he signed the First Step Act that over 30,000 people have come home early, the lowest recidivism rate in, I'm going to say almost history, 9.7 compared to a national 43%. He does things that's smart on crime. And President Trump is not saying just open up the prisons and let people go and not hold people accountable for their actions. He's saying that take a look before you release anyone into the community. Make sure that they're not a safety risk. He's not, as you said, with the cash bail laws. Those laws are being totally perverted. They are just letting people out. You commit a crime, and then you're back on the street to commit a new crime. That really was not what it was for. It was for people who were in jail, who were on low offenses, who couldn't get out because they couldn't make bond. It was not meant for catch and release. Catch them and then let them go out with nothing. So, when you have people who are in positions of authority and they pervert justice, then you no longer have justice.
Yeah, well said. The other thing, it's a complicated discussion, but people have to realize that most of people who are convicted of felonies and serve some prison sentence or serve some time are going to come out. And so the question is, how do we want to reintegrate them into society such that they can, as you said, make a course correction and be productive, law-abiding citizens? I mean, we have very good exit programs in places like Clark County with John Ponder's Hope for Prisoners and programs like that. But the sort of the structural setup needs some consideration to make to make it encouraging to not go back to a criminal activity.
Yes, we have to support rehabilitation. That was one big thing that the First Step Act did, was it caused rehabilitation to be considered before someone is released from prison. They're coming out anyway. Do you want them to come out better or worse into your communities? I believe in smart on crime solutions. My time that I spent with President Trump, that's one of the big things that he was concerned about, is safety of letting people back into the communities who pose no safety risk. So these people were highly vetted, and he used, as I say, common sense solutions. You cannot make our communities safer when you are just putting people back out there who pose a danger to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I really...
No, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just, say what you were going to say. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So I was just thinking about this too. I mean, in terms of, there's been a lot of discussion, as I'm sure you're aware, of Trump enjoying percentage of support from black families that is significant for a Republican over the last 60 years, significant even for Trump as compared to his percentage of the black vote the last two times he's run. And a lot of it is attributed to the economy and inflation and the cost of living. A lot of it's attributed to the lawlessness that has been encouraged by this administration with the invitation for all of these illegal immigrants to come into the country. But I wonder if you think from your interactions, some of it has to do with the fact that Trump is open-minded and has made moves like the First Step Act that people perhaps have forgotten with respect to criminal justice reform?
Absolutely. I see policies that are being put in place over these last 4 years, almost 4 years, that has really impacted lives of Black Americans. We are suffering right now. We're suffering at the grocery store. We're suffering at the gas tank. We're suffering with housing. When you've got illegal aliens coming in and they're able to get housing before someone who's been on a list waiting for some help, and then they come in, and not only that, they're being given money. I don't know the exact amount that they're being given money. It's a slap in the face. They're taking away the jobs that historically we're able, because, you have to start somewhere, Dan. Those entry-level jobs traditionally have gone to a lot of Black youth, a lot of us who are trying to get our foot in the workplace and then move up. Well, now we are being pushed aside for non-Americans, and we are saying, you got to like it. Well, no, we don't like it, and we can't speak out. People want to silence our voices. If we say anything against a candidate who's running that is Black, then we are the racist ones. We are the ones who, what are you thinking about? You got to support her. We don't go along with this pandering anymore. We've got our own minds, our own thoughts. You can't tell us that we're living the good life when we're not living the good life. We are not joyous about things that's taking place with us right now in this economy. We're not joyous about things that are taking place with safety in the community. And I don't care how much music you play, how much you try to hype us up with bringing different entertainers on or people to speak on the behalf of the opposition. It's not working. We think for ourselves, and it's an insult to think that we would go with identity politics over what is real life for us. Dan, my identity is in Christ Jesus, and that's where my identity lies. And I'm not going to put my identity in Him over identity in politics.
Alice Marie. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. Alice Marie Johnson is a criminal justice reform advocate. She's also the author of Afterlife, My Journey from Incarceration to Freedom. Alice Marie Johnson, pleasure to speak with you. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for having me on. I encourage everyone to please get out and vote your fate. If you know that these policies are not lining up with the Word of God, don't just go along to get along. Please get up and vote.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice. We appreciate it. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Talked to someone at yoga yesterday whose knee is bothering them, and she said her doctor gave her a steroid shot, but that's only going to last for so long, and then the options are surgery. Well, guess what? There's another option. It's called QC Kinetics. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. What's that? Well, they use your own body's healing properties